Hey guys, what is up? Zane here, and welcome to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be filming another story time. And in today's story time, I will be talking about the girl who despised me. And the reason why I'm even talking about this is because I have no clue why she despised me. I'm not even gonna lie, I literally have no clue. Like, I don't know why I did. Probably I said something one day. I'm like, you know, Cool Math Games is not the best website for gaming. She probably got super mad at that. I can't blame her. But, all jokes aside, I have no clue to why she got mad at me or anything like that. But, so me and this girl, we were kind of tight, you know, we were, like, pretty good friends, and, I would say that. Not, like, the closest friends in the world. I'd say more or less acquaintances, because, you know, we barely talked. But when we did talk, you know, we had a good time, you know, we were just chilling. And, this girl just randomly one day, she walked into the classroom, she started to hate me. She was like talking all this crap about me. I'm like, what did I do? And I was just like confused about it because like, I think I knew what it is now, and I'm not going to say what it is because it might not have been that. And yeah, also I'm not going to be saying her name, you know, for personal reasons. And that way, if anybody's like, oh, that was actually them, not even the case. I don't even know who this person's name is anymore, so, like, if that sums it up, that's another reason, because I literally have no clue what her name is. But, yeah, that was not a great time. Like, yeah. Initially, though, we were just acquaintances, and we did talk pretty often, and we would just talk about random things, you know. We didn't really get that close into, like, talking, you know. We weren't, like, you know, best friends or anything like that. But we did talk, and I think probably rumors or something went around about me, and that's probably why she was like, you know, she's just gonna believe the rumors rather than talk to me about it. But something like that must have happened because, I don't know, everyone just like despised me in that class, and I did have like a friend who was in that class, so it wasn't that bad after all, you know. That way I wasn't just walking into this class every day with just me and myself, you know. That would suck. But I did have a friend there, so you know they did make it worthwhile, and we did have a good time in that class. Well, for the most part, besides everybody hating you for no reason, I don't know why. Like, everybody just despised me for absolutely no reason. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Why do you despise me? Like, what did I do? Like, I'm just so confused about it. But yeah, so that basically sums that up. And anyways, since she did despise me for absolutely no reason, I have no clue why. We didn't talk at all because of that, and I don't know, she just like hated me for no reason. I don't, like, after that we just stopped talking. Ever since she started hating me for no reason, I was like, what? But again though, she probably just went with everybody else, started hating me. I have no clue why. I literally did nothing wrong. I was just going about my biz, you know. But now, what I do is I just jam out. So, yeah. At least they'll have a reason to hate me now. But the reason why I'm even saying that story time is just because it was like so random. Like, I think I know what it is now. I think there's a hardcore reason to why she started hating me all of a sudden, and I think I really know what it was. But I'm just gonna keep that to myself because who knows, it might not have been. But I have something else in the story time too. So there was this one class that I was in, right? And this one class, dude, I was the only male in the entire class. And I don't know what it is with girls, but they like to talk about their periods a lot. I don't know why that is. Why that is. Because I was in that class, right? And I was the only male in it, and I didn't really think much of it, and this is right around the time that I started to listen to music. Again, I would, like, listen to music right before class got out. So, like, essentially once class was over, then I'd put on the music, you know. I wasn't just, like, listening to music in the middle of class. Because, you know, we were doing stuff in class, you know, that was kind of stupid, you know. And also because if I did, then I wouldn't be able to hear anybody, but, yeah, this class in particular, though, I was the only male in, and oh my gosh, it was so awkward every day. Dude, I swear, I would get, like, the weirdest looks by everybody, like, oh gosh. Yeah, weird class. Like, I don't know why it is, it's just, like, I feel like with the classes, I'm just describing it as if it's the worst thing in the world and that I'm just getting despised. There is some truth to that. You know, I was getting despised absolutely every single day for no reason. And I literally have no clue why that was the case. But, even though that was the case, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world or anything like that. I think it was just weird. I don't really know why that happened or like anything like that. And especially with that one class when I was like the only male in it. That class was actually like pretty fun, dude. It was pretty litty, if I do say so myself. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just said that. But for real though, that class was amazing. I actually did enjoy it, and like even though I was only male in there, like dude, we learned some really good subjects in there, and the class was about like raising children and you know just making sure you're doing everything right and that way you don't mess up, you know what I'm saying? And that way you just know the basic stuff of being a parent. And we even learned some stuff about, you know, not spanking your child. You know, you should always resort to not doing that. Well, I kind of knew that from my own personal childhood. But, yeah, because it's been proven by scientists that, like, you know, spanking your child isn't going to help as much as, you know, not spanking them. So, like, if you don't spank them, then you're helping them. Instead of just being like, yeah, I'm going to hit my child, I'm going to lay my hands on my child for no reason. Like, I don't care. They must have to do something really bad in order to deserve that, you know. I just don't say it deserves that. And also, scientists do agree, and they said that it's been proven to not help at all, and it just causes other psychological problems. So you can do some digging on that yourself if you want, or if you want me to, I can expand upon that, but I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, with the class to where I was like learning about, you know, how to nurture children and stuff like that, and like how to properly care for a child and to tend to my child, I learned a lot in that class. And you know, even though I was the only male in it, it didn't really make it that awkward as I may have presumed. Just got a lot of weird looks. That I think that's really it. And yeah, I don't know. And yeah, that sums that up. And that class was just weird. I mean, the thing that was weird about the class, it's like, for some reason, my teacher's like, you know what, let's talk about female stuff. Like, I remember, like, this one day, too, we talked about showers and whatnot. Like, I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but my teacher was, like, talking about showers and, like, how much each person showers, and I'm like, how much do you shower? Like, she, like, pointed at me, the only male in the class. I'm like, oh, I shower, like, you know, 3 to 4 times a day. She's like, what the heck? What is wrong with you? Everybody like looked at me like in a weird way. I'm like, what the heck? What's wrong with that? Because, you know, like, I just exercise and stuff, and I just go really hard on my workouts, and because I sweat a lot. Like, oh my gosh, dude, it is not great how much I sweat. And but yeah, it's just my genetics. Like, I naturally, like, you know, sweat more. I must sweat even more. But, yeah, that sums that up for that class. That class was really weird. I don't even know. But I did like it, though. It was a really great class, like, overall. Like, even though it was weird at times, a lot of the time, it was still a great class. And I even had fun in it. So, and I learned a lot. And the other thing that I wanted to get into was a bit more about the girl who hated me. And I'm just gonna say, for that girl who hated me, I don't know who you are now. I literally have no clue what you look like. I haven't seen you in years. And I just had to say, why did you hate me? Like, what did I do? But, all jokes aside, as usual, have yourselves a damn good one. I will just leave the story time at that. And I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you did, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I know I don't ever say that, but, you know, why not swap it up in today's video? Anyways, laddies, see you in the next one, and peace out. In today's story time, I am going to be talking about something in particular with the story time, and it is going to be about the teacher who disliked me a lot, like really disliked me. And here's the worst part, alright? So with this teacher, she would teach science, and this teacher, you know, I really liked her class. Her class was amazing, in my opinion, and I liked everything I was learning. But even though I liked what I was learning, I wasn't the brightest tool in the shed, or rather, I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. And that's not a reference to any song in particular. But all jokes aside, for real though, I was not the brightest, and I'm still not the brightest. like, I am literally wonderstruck to how brain dead I can be at times, or how I can just miss like the most obvious stuff. Like I said in one of my story times, this hell story time, to where I was in that class, and what's the addictive chemical found in cigarettes? And for some reason, I couldn't think of it. Like, literally, I had like as much time as I could to answer that, and I didn't even know what it was. Even though I know it's nicotine, okay? You don't gotta keep screaming. But for real though, it was nicotine, and I didn't know that, and I had like a millennial to answer it. Everybody in the group got really pissed off at me, I will say. But I'm not here to bring up that story time. I am here to talk about this story time in science. So, with science, you know, I love this class. I literally love this class, and this teacher had turtles as well. I'd always check on the turtles because the turtles look pretty cool. Just like how they were sent to the moon, the first thing sent to the moon. For some reason, the US government was thinking of sending nukes to the moon, and they wanted to blow up the moon, but then they're like, yeah, we're gonna send tortoises now. That makes weird transition. Okay. Sorry for being random, but that is true. That is actually true. They wanted to blow up the moon first, but then they realized the effects of that, and yeah. Anyways, I know that was completely random, but let's get into the science class. So this science class I liked, as I did say, and this teacher even had turtles, and the turtles were really cool and whatnot. But I really did like this class. I liked everything about it, and we even got out early in the class a few times. Actually, I'm pretty sure we got out like before like the bell even rang, so we have enough time to just walk and just relax in the hallways and just chat it up before, well, you know what happened. But meaning the state of the world. But regardless, even though that happened and everything, I did grow a lot from it, and I even had some time to take some self-development. You know, I was growing a lot throughout this time, and I still have been. But anyways, back to this time. Not trying to get too off topic, or off topic in general. But during this time, I really did like this class. And even though I liked this class, this teacher did not like me, and I even got this teacher a bracelet which had like turtles, and it was pretty cool, if I do say so myself. But once I was out of the class, I realized that the teacher didn't like me at all, and it's so weird. I was just confused, honestly, when it comes down to it. I was just wonderstruck. But anyways, I was out of this class, and I'll say my friend's name is Bob. I'll just make up a fake name in order to protect him. And just because I don't like saying people's real name, because, you know, even though there's 7 billion people in the world, it's good to, you know, look out for them and stuff. But anyway, so Bob was telling me about once I left the class, because eventually I did have to leave the class because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So, since I'm not the sharpest tool, I had to leave the class. But I did pass the class, luckily. Just barely with a C. So, yeah, I wasn't that smart when it comes down to it. But regardless, I did pass. And to when I did pass, my friend was telling me to when he was still in the class, and he's like, yeah, this teacher's like talking smack about you. She's like, yeah, she said I was weird and stuff. She was like saying all this random stuff and whatnot. And I was like, oh okay. Like, I don't know what I did. But it is what it is. And yeah, that wasn't that great. Once I found that out, I'm like, you know, this is the only teacher that I actually liked having a class with. And, you know, like, I literally loved her class. Like, her class was amazing and everything. But for some reason, I got looked at as if I was weird and different and everything. I'm like, okay, I guess it is what it is. I'm used to it. So, yeah, that's what happened in that class. And let me transition this to one of my best teachers. So this teacher I had years ago, like years upon years ago, and this teacher actually did like me as her student, which is nice. And this teacher, right, dude, I was literally teaching the class for one day. That's how good of a teacher this was. And I must have been like the best student or something, because no one else has ever like taught the class. But yeah, I taught the class. It was a nice day in that class in particular. And yeah, but that other class, that science class I was telling you about, and by the way, the transition is from science, the class where that teacher hated me, to English, to the class that the teacher actually liked me, and the teacher didn't hate me at all, so that's great. But anyways, I was in this English class. I did teach it for a day. That was nice. We just did Kahoot, and if you guys know anything about that, it's basically you just go over it. It's basically just like a review over to what we were learning, so that's all we really did that day. But even so, I taught the class, and I even aced almost every test. I'm not really that sure about it now, because I don't really know, because yeah, I just don't recall that. That was years upon years ago. But I still do remember teaching the class like it was yesterday, and we even made gingerbread houses in that class, and that was fire, dude. It was really just awesome, like overall, because in that English class we did so much. And then I transitioned to the other English class for some reason, for some stupid reason. I don't know why I did that. I literally transitioned to the class to where I had this one girl in that class with the dress story. If you know anything about that, yeah, it's not great. But when I did transition to that class, I didn't even like that class at all. That class sucked so badly, because I knew no one there, and I was just, nervous. And like when I was in that other English class, everybody in that class was more like family, and because they're all homies, you know what I mean? But then I transitioned to this other English class, and it's like, yeah, you're just gonna be hanging out with random people who you don't know. Man, what a great time. That's sarcasm, and yeah, I don't like it, and I didn't like it at all. It was terrible. And also, even though I said I'm not in it right now, so don't presume that. But yeah, it was terrible. Like, that was terrible transitioning the class when I was in a class that was way better, and I had so much more fun in this other class. It was a terrible idea on my end to transition. And to that teacher, I'm sorry for transitioning out of your class. I'm like, I just had pride, and I had bad pride too. I was like, I'm so much smarter. Let's do this. Let's go full force. I think that's realistically what I was thinking, not actually like, oh, I'm better than anybody else or anything like that. I was just like, I want to commit. I want to show that I'm smarter. I want to get smarter. But that didn't really end up proving useful at all. And in the end, that was a waste of time when I could have been spending time with these other people who were the homies. So here's the moral of today's video. Not everything is as it seems. That's going to be for the science class, even though I liked this teacher's class and I liked everything about it, and the teaching method was on point, and I didn't do great in it, but it was just a hard subject to understand for me, because my brain's not the biggest. But the second thing is, with this other class, I did like, and with this class, do not drop a class that you're like cool with, and that you're enjoying a lot, because I did that mistake, and I transitioned into a class which was harder. But even though it was harder per se, it was actually like really difficult for me. Even though I transitioned into a harder class, I shouldn't have done that, because I was already hanging out with the homies. It's basically like, you don't know what you have until it's gone, and I really understood that lesson. Like, that lesson hits deep now. Like, you don't know what you have until it's gone, and that's essentially what happened. I was hanging out with all these great people before, but now I transitioned into a class which didn't have those great people, and it was just an annoyance in grander terms. But that's not the end of the world, because I did get to hang out with my best friend in the world, dude. So that was worth it. Like, I got to talk to the homie. So regardless, it did work out in the end, but still, you'd rather want to hang out with the homies first, before transitioning into a class which was unnecessary. So anyways, as usual, have yourselves a damn good one, and I'm going to keep the story time rather short, and hopefully this moral did make sense for this story time. And I hope that this isn't jumbled when I am editing this, But regardless, peace out. I want to talk about something in particular, and I want to talk about my first crush, alright? So, this is going to be me absolutely ruining my chances with her, or even, you know, ending up with her by any means. But this is okay, because over time, she did let herself go, and yeah, it's not that great. But, anyways, so, my first crush, right? I went to go ask her out, and it did not turn out well at all. And before I do get into that segment, and I segue my way into talking about that, into how absolutely horrendous it was, I want to talk about our encounters. So, for some reason, we would have encounters, and we would just be looking directly at each other for no reason. Like, we would be having a staring contest for absolutely no reason. And I literally have no clue why we did this. So we would just be looking at each other, like, for, like, a good minute. Like, I remember, like, this one time we were in the hallway, and then we were going straight to physical ed, and we just stared at each other for, like, a good minute. I have no clue why. Like, we just started to do a staring contest. We were very awkward around each other. That's the point, okay? We were very awkward, and I have no clue why. But, anyways, so me and this girl, right? It did not end up great. So, I think she did like me at the time, but the approach that I took wasn't that great. Or maybe she didn't like me at all. Honestly, I really just don't care at this point. And I'm saying I don't care because, you know, as I said, she let herself go. And, yeah. And also, just saying, not a highlight reel in my life. But, anyways, I want to get into how this is absolutely terrible. So, I emailed her, and this is me confessing to her that I like her, and I took a very immature approach, and I'm willing to admit that. And by the way, when I did do this story was years upon years ago. I do need to specify, this is like 6 years ago, maybe. Like, that's how long ago it was. Like, it was a really long time ago, alongside these other story times that involve girls as well. And anyways, I just want to get into this. So, this is the first girl that I liked, and I asked her out via email, and oh man, this is so bad. But I asked her out, and I'm like, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend or something like that? I said something like that. I have no clue. It was really cringe. But I messaged her that, and she messaged me, and she's like trying to get closure that it was actually me who was sending the message, I think. I don't remember it that well because my memory is very vague when it comes to this. So there could be some inconsistencies when it does come down to it. But anyways, so this girl messaged me something. I messaged her back, yada, yada, yada. And anyways, we were messaging each other, and then when she's like, just hardcore rejected me. She's like, no, I'm sorry, but I think she said something like, maybe she didn't say this at all, and maybe I'm making this up, but because I genuinely just don't remember. Like, I'm being for real, I really don't remember. But anyways, she said something like, you know, if you can't ask me out in person, then there's no reason to ask me out at all, you know? And I do agree with that, you know, like, you know, it's cliche to be asking her out via email. It doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, so anyway, so with this girl, I asked her out. She hardcore rejected me, and when she did reject me, I was upset about it. But then I do think this did happen. I think it wasn't that she said no, or she was trying to get close. She's like, are you actually asking me this? I think I said, no, I actually meant this for my other friend, as like a joking way. I think that's what I had said. My memory is very vague. But anyways, so I messaged her that I liked her, and when I did message her that, she said no. I know for certain she did say no, but following that, I did say, oh no, I actually wasn't asking you out. I was actually meant this for my friend, Bob, or something like that, something dumb. And just because, you know, I was really immature at the time. But anyways, I did that, and that did not go well. Some time flies by, and she says no, of course. And when she did, I was heartbroken for a little bit. Not really. I would say like I wasn't really heartbroken at all. Honestly, it was just funny. Like looking back on it now is just hilarious because, you know, I was just super immature. Like at that time, I was very immature. Like I cannot even stress that enough. But anyway, she said no, and I was definitely heartbroken for sure. No, I did get over it a little while after, and as I said, she let herself go now, and she is not attractive by any means now, and I can confirm that. And yeah, so she just let herself go, and that's a summary of what happened in that story. Yeah, and that was my first crush who I ever asked out, and the first girl I ever asked out, and when I did, I absolutely ruined it. And here's some advice for next time. If you're going to be asking out any girl, for that matter, you need to make sure that you ask her out, you know. Face to face, I would say that's preferable instead of via text. And not only that, I would say the moral of the story is to, you know, just own up to it, you know. Like, let me be completely real with you. I guarantee you're not even going to recognize her in due time, you know. I can 100% guarantee you that. Because there's no way that they're going to be looking the exact same, you know. Unless they're like Superman and then they're like, yeah, I'm not changing my age at all or something random like that. But all jokes aside, the moral of the story is, as I said, you know, just ask them out, you know, be real with yourself when you are asking them out. Make sure you're asking them out for more than one reason and you're not asking them out just because of their looks, you know, because you could see one of the most attractive females or males, depending on what gender you are, but they could have a cruel personality. Like, there's this one girl that I liked for a while, and then I saw her true colors, and I saw that she was egotistical, and I was like, yeah, you know what, she's actually not worth my time. And I don't even know why I had a crush on her to begin with, you know, because for real though, it's just not worth the time now. And as of now, I don't crush on any girls because honestly, the mystery box be so much better, dude. I'd rather, you know, I would hit the mystery box any day, you know, just to get that thunder gun, you know what I'm saying? But all jokes aside, that is not a highlight reel of my life, you know, asking out the first girl in my life and then getting absolutely rejected. But you do live, you learn, and I learned from it for sure, you know, especially how to ask out a girl and how to, well, I wouldn't say how to treat a woman because I already knew how to treat a woman, considering my father, who doesn't know how to treat a woman for jack shiz. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that, and until next time, as usual, have a damn good one, and later. In today's story time, I'm gonna be talking about when I was absolutely wrong. So I'm just saying this because I don't know why I'm saying this, but this was the girl who was in my English class, and she was the girl with the see-through clothing. I don't want to get into that in today's video, but I do want to talk a little bit about her. So this has to go with how I was wrong, okay? And by the title, you know, it's literally saying how I was wrong, and I don't know why it took me so long. It literally took me forever to realize she was right. But because I didn't really agree with it at the time, like, no, there's no way. And it only took me after running 20 miles to figure out, yep, it's true. So anyways, to what this is, it's about like the first mile being the hardest. And this one's gonna be kind of short because, you know, this video probably won't be that long. But yeah, she was completely right. I am actually surprised. And it's because, like, I didn't think, like, you know, 1 mile. I don't know why. Like, I thought, like, 1 mile wasn't that hard. I mean, it's, granted, it's not. Like, but it's, like, literally the hardest mile out of, like, all of my runs that I've done. So to essentially to what she said was 1 mile is like a hard mile, and I'm like, you know, at the time I didn't agree, but now since I'm a lot more knowledgeable, I'm like, wait a minute, she's actually right, because for some reason the first mile starting off of every run is always the hardest. You know, it's always hard to start the first mile, to want to do it and to just get that first mile over with, but once you do that first mile, it just gets easier. I don't know why this is the case, but especially the fact that it took me so long to realize that. After like running 20 miles, I'm like, yeah, the first mile is the hardest mile, because, you know, it's like the starting mile, the starting to the journey, as I would say, the starting to the venture off into the run. So yeah, I don't know why it took me so long. I'm like still trying to contemplate to why it took me so long to understand that. But yeah, this was like kind of like left me dumbfounded. I'm like, she was right. Like, I didn't think that like 1 mile was hard, right? And I don't think it's like the hardest thing in the world. I think that anybody can run 1 mile, but like it is the hardest mile out of any of my runs that I've done. And like, I don't know why, it's just the first mile, but past the first mile, it only gets easier. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. And I can say that because I have ran my longest run recently, which was 30 miles, and oh my gosh, was that pain. And actually, let me transition that into my 10-mile run. I think that was a really good transition, and then I will get into my 30-mile run later on, because that's still a work in progress with one of my goals for next year, and I will keep that under wraps because I want to have that as its own individual video. But anyway, so my first 10-mile run, man, I don't know why I remember it so vividly. It was like, felt as if it was yesterday. But I mean, it really does, because I don't know why, time's like a bullet, you know, it flies by fast. But yeah, this run that I did, it was like crazy, like 10 miles. It's like, dang. But when I ran my first 10-mile run, oh dude, my legs were sore because I've never ran that far before, and I did, and I'm like, wow, I did that. And it's just crazy to think about, like, wow, I ran 10 miles, like, dang. But after, my legs were sore, and I do remember, like, vividly, like, straight after that, I went to go and get a haircut. So I don't know why, I'm like, yeah, you know what, let's get a haircut now. You know, since my legs are already sore, let's make them even more sore and just go get a haircut. Let's walk around some more. And I did the same thing with like my first 20-mile run as well. Like, I literally like went to like Thanksgiving, right? And then I was just like jumping around on the trampoline all day like an idiot. But that's besides the point, okay? The point is, this girl was right, okay? If she's watching this and you know who you are, you are right. You are right. You are right about the miles, okay? The first mile is always the hardest mile. Beyond that, though, it gets really easy. I wouldn't say it's like the easiest thing in the world, you know. I'm not going to say that because that's obviously stupid. But the first mile is always the hardest. But beyond that, it gets only easier. I don't know why this is the case. Trust me, if I knew how that was or like why that was, I would be explaining right now. But I unfortunately can't. So yes, that is the case. So that was my first time learning a lesson like that. And I don't know why it took so long. It literally took me since 2017, 2018-ish, all the way to like 2019 to learn that lesson. And I'm like, wow, that took like 2 years to learn. But yeah, it's just an interesting lesson I learned. And this is all on personal preference, you know. Like, from me just running on, like, the first mile is always the hardest, you know. I could like find out later on that another mile is even harder. I mean, past 20 miles it gets pretty difficult, but not as difficult as the first mile because it's like the starting mile. It's like the starting to the adventure. But anyways, yeah, that lesson took me so long to learn. And yes, this was the same girl in that dress story time and all that. And by the way, here's a little tidbit for the dress story time. So that girl in that story time, actually, I forgot to say this. When I went to the dance in like my other story time, because I did that, I saw her there too, and yeah, you can imagine. Like, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm just gonna say this lesson took me so long to learn, and I'm like dumbfounded because of how long it took me to learn this lesson. I'm like, what? Like, it's an obvious lesson, but it's like, what? I guess I had to really test my limits first, and I'm like, yep, the first mile is always the hardest, and it's always because the first mile is like the starting point, you know? If you don't start the first mile, then you won't be able to do the second mile, the third mile, the fourth, but it's always the first mile that's hardest. Beyond that, it gets a lot easier. So I don't know why the first mile is always the most difficult, but after that, it gradually gets easier. But anyways, as usual, have yourselves a damn good one, and I hope you did enjoy this story time. I know I did keep it kind of short in today's video, and for good reason. And all I have to say is, I don't know why it took me so long to learn this lesson, like literally a few years just to learn this one lesson, which is kind of common sense. But, yeah, well, I wouldn't say common sense, but, yeah, I'm just surprised that it took me this long to learn that lesson, so. And also, I know I didn't need to give the information that she was the same girl with the dress. I didn't need to say that, but, you know, as humans, we like to give information that makes no sense, so that's what I did. But all jokes aside, I will see you guys in the next one, and later, you mad lads. I'm gonna be talking about the moon game, and this is gonna be talking about my experience with these two people who I played with. And here's something that I do need to get into details about, is that I originally made this as a story time separately. However, my points in that video were not concise, and they did not add up to what I actually meant. So I took it down, and as a matter of fact, I actually talked to those people about it, to who I made the story time originally on. They did admit that, you know, they were backseat gaming and stuff, and that they were being annoying at times. They literally said straight up, yo, I was being annoying at times, that's just how it was. And we talked about it privately, we discussed it, and yeah, we got that all out of the way. And the reason why I'm making this story time is because it's an amazing point, and the moral at the end of the story time is literally perfect to what it's going to be about. But anyways, I played this moon game, and me and these two lads were going for a world record, and we were on pace for a world record and whatnot for high rounds. And we just played moon, and I will not lie, to when we did play moon, I was ignorant about the BO1 mechanics and stuff, and like about saving drops, because there's even stuff like that for BO3 Origins, for if you want to save drops, you'd use the ice staff. I will even get into that in a high round strat video. But anyways, my main point here is that I was ignorant about the drop cycle. I didn't really understand a lot about that. I did know that if you pick up carpenters, it will limit your amount of max ammos later on in the game, and especially if you get 2 max ammos in one, which is something that you really don't want to happen. But anyways, so me and these lads played this moon game, and they were backseat gaming hardcore, and they were just being ultimately disrespectful. And straight up, even though we played for hours on end, and when we played hours on end, I just got fed up, you know? I just stopped playing the game seriously, and this person even ended the game, and he even addressed that. But as I said, none of this even matters with this game. Like, literally nothing matters with this game, with the details, schmootales. It doesn't matter anymore, because, you know, we already discussed it. But anyways, I started to just mess around in the high rounds, because literally they were being so disrespectful and backseat gaming the whole time. Like, and eventually I just broke. I'm just like, you know what, man, I don't care. And I stopped playing it seriously and whatnot. But anyways, time goes by. I was using my Gershes recklessly, and this dude ended the game, and then, you know, we just didn't go with the game anymore. And then after that, I made the video of a story time, And the story time didn't come out to as I said, and I even said that at the beginning, because there were words I used and a huge word which didn't align. Because here's something I need to say, and I will get into that, but I use a certain word like hate, right? I'm like, that is just not right and concise at all. Because let me just say something, hate is a very strong word, and especially if you hate somebody, that is like a whole nother level. It's literally, to hate is to murder, okay? That's what hate is, and this dude had none of that, okay? So, here's what I'm going to be saying, is that me and these dudes, as I said, made up, we talked about it, we talked about the game, they even admitted to where they were wrong, I admitted to where I was wrong, and we talked about this, and we cleared it up, and we're cool now. We don't talk often though, like literally at all, since that, but that's not because we have beef with each other or anything. We literally just don't hang out, you know? Like, there's just main things we do, like they do BO2 and BO1, and I do BO3, and I will even be revisiting BO2 and BO1 here soon for some round of hundreds. But, you know, we just don't hang out, you know? We just went our separate ways. And since we went our separate ways, we're just chilling and vibing. But, as I did say, me and these dudes do not hate each other. We made up like men. And that's the main point of this video, is like, if you have beef with somebody, address it with them, you know? And if you do that, you'll literally not only squash it, but get over it, you know? And you can grow together because of that beef, you know? And here's something that I will say is about the initial video. As I said, there were points that I made that were just not right. But what they did wasn't right either. But even though that was the case, we got over it. And it wasn't even that bad either. It's just a moon game and whatnot. But we're cool now. I don't talk to them, as I did say, but that's just because, you know, we literally do separate things. Like, I am just grinding these round of hundreds. I'm just like, oh, did I get this round 100 down? Alright, let me go play that. And so that's literally what I've been doing. Because, dude, whenever I get round 100 on every zombies map, it's just going to be so satisfying. I know I'm going to have to be filled with contempt by others for now, but I'm fine with that until I get this. But this has been a real journey. And to what I have to say about those lads, yo, hit me up if you ever want to play some zombies, or if y'all want to talk, because I would love to learn some more about BO1 mechanics, because I can literally get into BO1 and get around 100 on that, and I know I will have to do that eventually, like Call of the Dead or Shame or something like that. But anyways, lads, that's it for today's story time. Again, the main point in this video is, if you have something, just settle it, and don't let anger and strife and all of these things just fill you. And literally just talk it out, and yeah, you'll get over it. It's literally just that simple. But anyways, speaking of contempt and anger, I'll be getting into that in another story time, and it's gonna be about my dad. And with this story time, it's gonna get interesting. But other than that, these two lads are amazing, you know. They're amazing people now. And especially to be able to squash something like that and being able to talk about it. But not only that, being able to be accountable for when you made a mistake. That is what really makes you a man. And by doing that, it really shows character, and you will reap what you sow. I am not even gonna lie about that. And also, when it comes down to it, this is just what you should do. And by doing this, you will literally gain trust with those around you, because you're able to acknowledge that you're human, that you make mistakes, but move on from it, and to grow from it as well. And there are people who will literally not be able to hear any side, or just don't care, period. That's just not right, you know? But if you can see both sides, and you can address what's right and which one's wrong, you know, that's just what matters. And I would be a lot more concise with what I'm talking about right now, but you all get the point. Just address it, and the issue will fade. And especially, they have the highest respect for me when it comes down to it, Because if they're able to squash it and being able to talk about it and not just leaving me be, and same with them, I wasn't able to leave a be, you know, I wanted to talk about it. We were able to talk about it, squashed it. But anyways, at this point I'm just repeating myself. So as usual, have yourselves a damn good one. And later, you mad lads. The main point here in the video is talk it out, see if you can reach an agreement. And you know what? If it doesn't go that way at times, you just gotta go. And that's with another story time. I'll be getting into that. But that's just because there's certain people who you meet who are just not worth your time, you know. But have yourselves a damn good one. And later, you mad lads. Hey guys, what is up? Zane here, and welcome to another video. And in today's video, I will be getting into another story time. And in today's story time, I will be getting into COVID. Now, COVID has been super hard since it has started, and it sucks. Like, in all honesty, dude, boo to COVID, honestly. Like, when it comes down to it, just boo COVID. But regardless to what I do have to say is, for story times, I will be having it a lot better now. And by that, I mean I will start writing scripts for my story times. And this is just so I can focus a lot more when I'm writing a story time. So yeah, that is just a heads up for my story times. I will start to write a script, and the reason being is because I want my story times to be authentic. Anyways, now to start, I want to get into the positive of COVID. In my eyes, this is the most ambitious I have ever been in my life so far. I did my first 30-mile run recently, which means I can do 100 miles. Trust me, I'm going based on my zombies logic. And it is never wrong. I'm joking. I'm going based on someone who is reputable. Also, speaking of zombies, I got my highest round recently, which was 234. But it did result in a crash on that unlucky round 234. Unfortunately, but even so, I still plan on getting to 256. Another positive of COVID is I have decided to start doing daily uploads, which has been super difficult, don't get me wrong, but it has been worthwhile in the end. After all, I love bringing videos to you all because my objective is to make your day just a little bit brighter. And if I'm doing that, I'm doing great. After all, it is the least I can do whilst I'm here. Now let's get into the negatives of COVID. Since COVID has started, my mind has not felt right at all. Because I can't stop making mistakes, and in all honesty, I have felt like nothing but a burden to those around me. And I feel like I shouldn't be here at all. In truth, I just want to disappear. I prayed not too long ago for God to take me away from here, and it just killed me quite simply because of how much of a burden I am to others and those around me. And the reason is, this amongst many other reasons, was someone who was really close to me was suicidal, like I was a long time ago, and I didn't even realize it at all. He would even cut himself as I did a long time ago. But not only that, there are so many contributing factors, as I did say, in my eyes, to which I will keep to myself. All I can truly say is all I learned from COVID is how worthless I am and how much of a burden, and that all I truly want is God to take me away and kill me because I cannot stop making mistakes. Now, since COVID has started, I have been more alone than I ever have been, because I talk to my close friends once a week, but sometimes not even at all, and it even goes on for months. And I hope it does get better, because the majority of them I haven't talked to in a while, either in person or online. Now, even though it has been super tough to deal with COVID, and even myself at times, considering how many mistakes I make on a daily, mainly just because of how retarded I am. Anyways, although COVID is hard and life is super tough at times, I do need to remember to stay strong and keep moving forward, because I know that things will get better regardless of what happens to me. Also, even though I'm bringing up the bad side of COVID in my issue, please don't feel sorry for me in the slightest. Because my life is not lavish, and I deserve everything that's thrown at me. And I truly do believe that. In conclusion, COVID has been rough, and it will continue to be rough, unfortunately. And it feels like stones are being thrown at me. But I will just keep fighting, because I believe in my heart it will get better. Don't forget either, we are almost done with COVID for real. We have a vaccine, lads. And when COVID is over, I will celebrate with 3% milk for the homies, alongside some cake, Super Mario 64 style, and maybe some Super Mario 64 gameplays. Maybe a or something. But all jokes aside, even though COVID is rough alongside my thoughts, I want everyone to clutch onto their lives and to fight for a better tomorrow, because I will. And even though I face heavy adversities, which I have yet to mention and I still have yet to hear, just remember, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Hey guys, what is up, and welcome to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys a story time. So, it's story time. I'm going to be letting you guys know a story. And this story time is going to be kind of painful to tell, and I may even come across as a douche in this, but I want to get my point across. I might sound like a huge dickhead for saying this, but this honestly hurt to do. Just telling this story, I'm actually surprised I'm even telling this. I remembered this not too long ago either, and yeah, this is just going to be an interesting story to say the least. But anyways, I do want to get across that the reason why I did this is for a solid reason. I would never just do this just cuz. And this is going to be about my friendships that I've had to sever in the past. And this sucks. This honestly sucks to tell this story because me and this dude were tight for a really long time. And then just for him to... Oh, man. This just sucks. It really does. I cannot stress this enough. I messed up, but honestly, I had to do this or else I would have walked down the path that I did not want to follow. And morals are so important to me, and I did not want to follow in someone in my family's footsteps. That's all I will say, and I will mark my own path. Anyways, so I'm going to get into this, and I'm done holding it off now, but I'm going to be talking about this friendship that I ended. Now, I ended 2 friendships. One was like this, and then another one was kind of the same, except this other person pushed it a lot more. And yeah, let's get straight into the story time. So, I'm going to call this person Ron. So, Ron and I were friends for a really long time. Like, me and this dude have been friends for like a good 10 years. And I had to end this friendship because of something that happened. And this is very in particular as well. And again, this sucks to tell the story because it was just by happenstance that this kind of stuff happened. But morals to me are very important, and I cannot stress that enough. But this person named Ron started to do drugs, right? And he was trying to convince me to do them and stuff, and I'm like, man, are you kidding me? Like, are you actually kidding me? And yeah, I just said to him, I'm not gonna be friends with you, man, if you're gonna be following this path. And it ended swiftly like that. It did suck, I'm not gonna lie, it really did suck to have to end a friendship like that. And here's something that I do want to say. The way I ended it was not really concise, and I didn't heed to it as well as I should have. So, with this person, as I said, Ron, me and him were tight friends for such a long time. Like, we were like literally brothers at this point. We were literally family. But for him to do something like this, it just sucks, you know? And again, this may come across as a dick. I would literally say that I came across as a huge dickhead because I didn't really go into detail about it all that much. Because I have a lot of stuff with my personal life when it comes to drugs and all this, and I don't even want to get into that in this video. And I have no right to, because I'm just, you know, a small creator and whatnot, and this stuff is really important to me, and I'm going to seclude this information because there is so much that I have to say about this, and like, it's really, really personal. But I'm just going to leave it at that. And here's what I had to say, alright? So, with his friendship with Ron, me and him were friends for a really long time. Again, I could have been a bit more attentive to detail with what I said, and I could have been a lot more concise, but with the path he was following, I just wanted nothing to do with it, and again, there were a lot of personal reasons, like a lot of personal reasons. Regardless, I ended that friendship that was for years upon years of developing, and I had to put it to an abrupt stop. But, yeah, that really sucked to have to end a friendship like that. And then not only that, dude, we had so many good memories together, like, all of that, and then it just went like that. But that was just because of his decision he made, and he tried to tempt me with it. I'm like, dude, I want nothing to do with it. And he was persistent, and, you know, I just had to end the friendship. And the thing with Ron, it really did suck to have to end something like that. And I did have another situation like this happen, except the info was a lot more concise, and I was a lot more attentive to detail, and I will even get into that. But let's get into this next story, and it's going to be about the same kind of circumstance. So this person, I'm going to name him Bob. And Bob does drugs as well, and all of this other stuff. And the thing is with Bob is that he tried to persuade me on numerous occasions. I just got so pissed off with him about it because of my past and all the shit that I had to go through because of this. I'm sorry for my language. I'm really sorry. But all of this stuff that I had to go through because of it and the things I missed out hurt so much to me. And I even told him about that. I told him all about it. And he still had the nerve to keep trying to persuade me. And not too long ago, actually, I talked to him. And there's one final remark he made. He said, "I do not give a shit about you." Alright? So he said that, and I was like, you know, it is what it is. And even if that is the case, I really do hope all is well with him, you know? Because if I didn't hate him in the beginning, why should I hate him now? You know? And yeah, that's just the way I see it. I don't hate anybody when it comes down to it, but yeah, he tried to persuade me with it, and again, I have every right to hate certain people who've done stuff that's just so crude to me. But instead, I choose to love my neighbor as I love myself, because it's the right thing to do. And honestly, that's just not the example to set. Regardless of how much people double-cross me, do such malicious things to me, it does not matter, and I will heed towards good. Because that kind of attitude won't get you anywhere, and you'll just be stuck in the same place. Regardless, that's it for the story time. And the thing is, these friendships that had to end, the second one wasn't bad as the first one. Because the first one, like with Ron, was he didn't really know that much. I should have been a lot more attentive to detail to when I ended the friendship. Like, 100% that was my fault for ending the friendship like the way I did, instead of telling him what the problem was and addressing it. The second person was just filled with transgression and iniquity. Yeah, that's it for today's video. As usual, have yourselves a damn good one. And this video was really hard to make, honestly, when it comes down to it, because my words would get stumbled at times, and there's emotion in this, for sure. And I hope that my language wasn't too bad. But regardless, y'all are men. So, later, and peace out. So in today's story time, I want to talk about pain. And that is why I named the title Pain and everything like that. So, I did a 20-mile run, like, literally, like, a few days ago, like, on the 23rd. So, yeah, anyways, to whenever this is released, whatever. I did this run, right? And on the 19th mile, when I was about to finish my 20-mile run, I literally stopped because I have never had this pain before, but it literally felt like somebody hit me as hard as they could with a baseball bat, and then they broke the bat by hitting my legs. And oh man, did that hurt. But that's not the pain that I was going to be associating this video to, but I just wanted to say that kind of pain, or like the pain that I did the 30-mile run. But I think the reason why I had that pain from the 20-mile run, and I'm pretty sure that's just because I didn't train prior. So I did like a 10-mile run pretty regularly, but not really that regularly, honestly, kind of like once a week. And then I did that, and then I went into this 20-mile run. So yeah, I was gonna be doing 50 miles, but I'm like, yeah, I need to actually train religiously before I can get into that. By religiously, I just mean daily. That's all I really mean. But before I get into this next segment, I do need to specify I wasn't just going into a 10-mile run straight into a 50-mile run. That doesn't make any sense. I need to specify my farthest run that I've done so far in a day is like 30 miles, and I'm trying to get it up to 50 miles. So that's what I'm saying, and I know I can do it. I just need to have protein and stuff, and I need to have like the right nutrients in my food, and I also need to make sure that I'm adapting to the workouts. Like I said, I went from a 10-mile run straight into a 20-mile run without training frequently. I mean, like, the most I would train is like 3 times in a week, and that's really just not enough, or like sometimes even just 2 times in a week. So as I said, that's just simply not enough. I need to make sure that I'm on it, like white on rice, dude. If I'm not on it, then it's just gonna be over for me, and then I won't be able to reach that goal. So that's what I mean. I wasn't just going from a 10-mile run to a 50-mile run. That doesn't make any sense. No, I'm going from my last PB, from a 30-mile run, I like how I said PB as if this is speedrunning, even though it's not, into a 50-mile run. So I'm going to be doing that here soon. And I'm not going to be having any videos on it or anything, not until I do a face reveal, which I honestly doubt will ever even happen, because, yeah, channel's just been, you know, fluctuating, I guess. That's the word I'll use, because that's the only word I can think of in my head. But anyways, let's get back on with it. Enough with that. I want to talk about another kind of pain, and I'm going to be talking about a mental pain. Okay, so we all have our own battles. I can say that for sure. Not everybody's all happy-dory, you know. If you have dark thoughts, you know, you're just normal. You're a normal human being. Wow, how surprising, you know, because we all die, you know, we all decay over time. And I want to say that, man, I have just had so many times in my own life to where I wanted to just raise my white flag, you know, and I just wanted to give up everything, and I just wanted to end it all. But even though I've had those moments throughout my life, and also that's a weird transition from a 20-mile run straight into just pain, like, you know, the mental battles. But I'm just saying, even though I've had these pains that I have and I still face, like, I still have dark thoughts, but I don't condone them anymore at all. So I just subdue them each and every time, because light always subdues darkness in the end. You know, light always beats darkness, no matter what. So that's the truth. But even though I have these mental battles and stuff, and I'm just saying this because, dude, it's just so surreal. It's like pandemic's like literally almost over. Like, literally, it's over. I got both my vaccines, you know, so that's what I'm talking about this as well. I got my vaccines, and, you know, I've had, oh, by the way, with the mental thoughts, it wasn't only during COVID that I had these dark thoughts. Like, I've had them for a very long time, for about like 12 plus years, honestly. Well, I'd say a bit longer than that. Yes, somewhere around there though. But even though I've had those thoughts, and I've had suicidal thoughts at times, numerous times actually, even though I've had those thoughts and I've wanted to take my life numerous times, I always remember that, you know, life's worth living, you know. Do not give in to those dark thoughts in your head. Because we all have 2 wolves inside us, you know. We have a good wolf and a bad wolf that's inside us, you know. the wolf of evil and the wolf of good. And whichever wolf we feed, that will determine to where we will go in life. Anyways, I'm gonna keep it rather short, and I am just saying, if you have those dark thoughts, just know you're not alone, and keep fighting for better days, because the good thoughts are always better, you know. There's always a light. There truly is. And even though you may not see it, you can definitely feel it, so keep that in mind. But before I end this video, I have to say something that's really funny. Okay, so I went to go and watch this movie not too long ago, and I was gonna go watch the movie, you know, since I got vaccinated, but I couldn't go in because I had to wear a mask even though I've been vaccinated. It's like whatever. But anyways, I went to go and get a mask, watch this movie. It's called Hitman 2. It's pretty good. Not sponsored, but it's a pretty good movie. That's it. Alright. As usual, have yourselves a damn good one, and good night, because it is getting late. Or if it's morning, good morning. I don't really know. Alright, later. Hey, what is up, and welcome to another story time. And in today's story time, I want to get very technical in today's video, and I want to get into the details on my longest grind. So there's this game, it's called Saints Row 4. It is literally like a simulation game and all of the possible aspects of what it would be like in a simulation. Honestly, it's a really good game, and I grinded, I grinded this game in 24 hours, and man was it insane. Like literally, it took me around like 9 hours, because I was able to just get through a cutscene. Maybe not 9 hours, maybe like 15 to 16 hours. I'm not really sure. I don't really remember that well, but I did beat this game in a day because I just wanted to grind a whole day out on this one game, and I managed to beat the entire game, and it was so satisfying beating the game, and I was just like, yes, when I got it done. But anyways, I was grinding this one game for like literally 24 hours, and I was listening to the same song on repeat, and it is a 3 Days Grace song. It's I Hate Everything About You, and dude, it is such a good song, and especially listening to that on repeat for 24 hours, I don't know how I'm able to do it. I think that's literally how I got the ability to listen to music on repeat, is by grinding Saints Row 4 for 24 hours straight. But anyways, if you're wondering like, oh wait, how did you play for so long? And I remember when I did this, I was like really young. But when I did play for so long and stuff, and I wanted to get breaks, there was certain stuff that I would do, you know, like say if I wanted to stay up, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna stay up. So I went to go and take a cold shower. So after I took a cold shower, I'm just like, alright, let's get back into it. And if you're wondering, does a cold shower actually keep you awake? Yes, it keeps you very awake. Literally, I couldn't have been more cold than I was. So, yeah. Anyways, that helped me focus a lot more too. So, I think I may have done it in like a 2-day span. I'm not really sure. I really do think I did beat it in 1 day, because Saints Row 4 was like the main game I used to play a lot, alongside BO2, of course. But, anyways, I would just grind Saints Row 4 for literally a day straight, and I beat the whole game. And I'm just saying, listening to that one song on repeat, oh man, it was phenomenal, okay? But I was just grinding through the game, right? And I don't know why the song did, but it literally matched perfectly with the game as well. I think that's really what kept me going, especially at certain parts in the game. But yeah, I just listened to this one song for like 15 hours straight, trying to beat the game, and it was a good time. It really was. And especially just going through the game for my first time and just beating it, it was so satisfying, honestly. But enough about me talking about me beating that game in 24 hours, because literally that just has to be enough. Just talking about it literally has to be enough to even bring that up. But I want to get into another story in the story time. So the moral of that story is, there's not really a moral, that's just really cool that I just grinded a game in 24 hours. Man, I have never had a grind like that other than this one time when I grinded to like round 200. I remember I had this one goal at this marathon, right? It's like a gaming marathon, and it was my goal before I quit the marathon. And for this gaming marathon, it was only like from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. so it was like 11 hours ish. I think that's 11 hours. I'm not really quite sure on the numbers there, but it doesn't matter. So I was there for that long, and then I would play Smash Bros. And I would also play COD. And my goal in COD on that was to get to round 200 in the given time. And to round 200, that only takes like 2 hours, and that's because, you know, I was playing on World at War, you know, Shinonuma. That was my goal on that map. Just around 200. Nothing crazy. Even 100 would have been enough for me. I wanted to get 200, so I got it, and that was amazing. But that did take a while, though, because honestly, getting set up on Shinonuma at times can be so tedious, especially if you want to do everything in one day. But I managed to do it, and I got to 200. I think I got like 250 something. I'm not really that sure. My memory is kind of hazy right now. But I did manage to get that, and that was literally so satisfying once I got that. And then I just ended my game, and then I played Smash Bros. For like the rest of the time. And also, speaking of Smash Bros., if you guys would like to see some Smash Bros., because I literally have some Smash Bros. Content that I am just willing to share. And actually, speaking of that, I'm going to have that over this gameplay. I'm going to have some Smash Bros. Gameplay over this. But yeah, this is going to be talking about my longest grind in gaming and my goal that I had in gaming. And also, you know what? I want to add another little story here. And this is all connected, actually, because all of these 3 stories relate to not giving up, alright? So, my goal for squat, right? And I'm not really that heavy of a person. I'm really not heavy. I'm like 132 right now. Not heavy at all, honestly. Like, literally not heavy. Like, I could put more emphasis on not being heavy, but I'm just gonna stop there. Anyways, my goal was to get 205 by the end of the year, right? Well, actually, in the next, like, 3 years. But, anyways, that was my goal, to get 205 on squat. In the next 3 years, I managed to overachieve that, and I managed to get it a year less. So, I get to set my goal even higher for squat. So, it's going to be actually not 205, but it's going to be somewhere around 235 or something like that, which is going to be really good. But anyways, it's just absurd that my goal was like 205 for the end of the year, but actually I managed to get it in less than that in 2 years. And another thing is too, is I'm going to be talking about my longest run. Okay, so my longest run, I know I brought this up in the pain one story time. My longest run is 30 miles, and I want to talk about this pain. I want to talk about it a bit amplified, okay? So, I did this run. Yes, I had the pain that felt like hammered, but I'm going to extend that, and I'm going to let you know that I tried running here recently, but I didn't let my legs heal at all, so I managed to suffer because of that. There were repercussions because of that, and I had that same pain again, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm just not going to be running for a while, so, you know, I'm just not going to be running, that's really it. I'm just not going to be running for a long while. But regardless, for this run, it's 30 miles, and that was all because hard work and dedication. And my goal is 50 miles, and then, man, once I get this one thing, then I'll go for 50 miles, because, you know, you can't really just be having hard foods all day, and that would be way too long, because that'd be like, how many meals? Like, a meal like every 11 miles, probably something I would do, like every 20 miles an hour. But, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Moral of the story is gonna be, if you set goals, you can achieve them, regardless of how preposterous it may sound. Or you could just crash on round 99. Well, not crash on 99, but die on round 99. be ready for that here soon. That'll be a very interesting video. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I hope you did enjoy the gameplay in the background. I know I'm swapping it up from my usual zombies content because, you know, I'm mainly sick to zombies, but why not branch out in content? So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I did swap it up a bit, and I even swapped it up in my other story time, and it was Minecraft actually. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this, and be ready for the next one. And later, I'm still so damn good. Hey guys, what is up? And welcome to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be getting into another story time. So in today's story time, I want to get into the best rejection I've ever had in my life. Now, this is going to be different. This is not going to be me talking about girls in this story time like I usually do. And also, in today's story time, I'm going to be saying that the moral of this story time is going to be the same as the last one. If you put in hard work, you can definitely achieve what you want to. Meaning, if you put in the work, you will get results, okay? That is just fact. Okay, that's not a myth, that's fact. Trust me, I have a lot of people who can back that up. But regardless, if you put in the work, you will achieve your goals. And now that I said that, let me get into this story time. So this story time is going to be about me putting in the work and actually being able to achieve what I want to. Now, I said in the last video that I had like the worst pain, like the 20 miles that I did it, and then I got like hit in the legs with a baseball bat. That's what it felt like. But yeah, this is gonna be about the best rejection, okay? So I have been rejected, I think it was just once actually. I think it was literally once, like, well, twice for what this story is about. But like, if I want to talk about girls like I always do in my story time, no, I'm kidding. But I'm kind of memeing it at this point because I literally do bring it up for like a majority of my story times. It needs like to kind of chill. Like, bro, I barely even talk to girls. Like, why do I have so many story times with girls? Like, what is up with me? I swear I'm not that kind of guy, dude. I swear, okay? I didn't need to get that close to the mic, but still. Regardless, let me get into today's story time, and it's gonna be about the best rejections. So for this rejection, I'm gonna be leading up to how I got into this rejection. So I started to practice basketball with one of my best friends of all time. This man's name is, I'm gonna call him Best Basketball Player Man. That's what I'm gonna be calling him, the Best Basketball Player Man, alright? So me and the Best Basketball Player Man, me and him would literally be playing basketball all the time. Me and him were homies. I remember he came over one time with me and my other best friend, and dude, I still talk to this best friend today. Well, I can't really talk to the Best Basketball Man anymore because he's in Japan now, so yeah, that's him. He fulfilled his own destiny, you know, he's making it into a reality, you know, he's putting in that work, just like I am for my goals and the stuff I want to do in my life. But regardless, me and the Best Basketball Man, however I say his name, I am literally starting to pronounce it wrong, and I did not mean to do that. Okay, so me and the Best Basketball Man and my other friend would always play games together. We would also play Mario Kart all the time, Mario Kart DS. We'd always play this while like driving to school and stuff. It was so sick and whatnot. So we would be playing that and whatnot, and I'm just saying this because this just shows how close of friends we were. Like, we would literally do everything together, and he is still my all-time best friend, always will be. He always has a place in my heart. Like, he is always welcome in my family, dude. Even if he's in Japan, he goes from Japan back to the good old US of A, yeah, we would be hanging out for sure, no doubt about that, because he was very litty. That's what I will say. That is so cringe. I don't know why I just said that, but regardless, me and him get along very well and whatnot. So essentially what I'm saying here is that we have a very deep bond together, and we would always play basketball. That's something we would always do. He would always come over, we'd play basketball, and then he'd up his skill in his ranks. So me and him would always play basketball. It was a great time regardless. And at this time, I wasn't that good at basketball, and this is going to be getting into the rejection and whatnot. So me and him would always hang out, and I would always train for basketball like 30 minutes a day or like 20 minutes a day. That's what I would do for training before practice and whatnot. So I would always be on my grind with basketball. I'd be training 20 minutes a day, listening to some hip-hop music. You know what it is. I'd even listen to some E-Double. If you know who that is, you are a very cool person. And if you do not know who that is, that's some very good music to bop to. If you're just gaming and whatnot and you're trying to get a nuclear, you know what it is. I would go check out that music to when you can. And regardless, let me get back into the story. So I'd be listening to this music. I would be training. I would be training as if I was training for an anime. That's what I thought at the time, but realistically, it wasn't quite there yet. I haven't really reached my peak yet in training. And I will be getting into that. This is literally an anime character story. I'm not even kidding with how cool this is. So I would be training nonstop and whatnot. And then I went to go and sign up for a basketball team. And oh, this is gonna get bad. So I signed up for the basketball team. I was the shortest person there. I was literally like 4 foot and everybody was like 7 foot. And I was like, what's going on? I'm like literally a midget here. Like, what did I do? Like, why is everybody like 7 foot tall? What the heck? I didn't know I was competing against a wall. No, but regardless, I would go to practice. I did awful. My cardio was awful at this time and stuff, meaning my endurance was so bad and whatnot. And I went there for a week and whatnot, and I would train and I would do repetition. You know, I didn't give in. But even though that was the case, the fateful day arrived, and there was this piece of paper, and it said to who made the team and who didn't. And I was looking for my name, and I didn't make it. So I didn't make the basketball team. However, this is the best rejection I've ever gotten in my entire life. Well, second best rejection. But all jokes aside, this is my best rejection I've ever gotten in my life. The reason that this is the best rejection I've ever gotten in my life is because there was another window of opportunity in store, and I'll be getting into that. So around this time, I didn't really get picked, and I went back to my ride, and I remember that I was in distraught. You know, I was just distraught from what happened. It sucked. I was just bitter about it. I was sad that I didn't make the team and whatnot, because I really wanted to do basketball. It was always been my dream, and then it just, see your dreams just diminished right there. It just sucks. However, even though that happened, I went back in the car, you know, drove off, and I was listening to the E-Double song Dark Side. I do not know why I remember this, but I remember that song was so good on the way out. But I listened to that song on the way back home, and it was relaxing, okay? It helped ease that pain that was inside. But even though I got rejected from the team, those people made a huge mistake because this was a blessing in disguise. Like, that window being shut from the basketball team is the biggest blessing I've ever had in my life. Because I went from playing basketball, right? And I even 1v1'd those people who were on the team, and I absolutely slayed them. That was like the most fire moment when I like broke their ankles and stuff. It was so lit. But all jokes aside, and that's not really a joke, I really did break their ankles. It was pretty sick. I mean, I didn't literally break their ankles, but you know what I mean, in basketball terms, yada yada. Anyways, I got kicked from the team. I didn't make the team, of course. And I had an anime transformation, dude. I swear. I went from doing basketball to finding a new passion, which was in boxing. And I love boxing, and I still do. And I'm still doing boxing, actually. And I've been doing boxing ever since I started. So I started to do boxing. I got more serious into training. I started running from barely anything, or even at all, to running a mile to 2 miles, and then around about a year I started to run 9 miles, and then after that 2 years came along, went a bit further, I went to 18 miles. The third year, which is this year, I'm at 30 miles. So this was a window of opportunity, and I took key of it. So I really did not waste this opportunity. It was a gift. I took that gift and I made it my own. And I'm just saying, if you ever get rejected in an aspect like sports or anything like that. Oh, wait, hold up. Hold up, I'm gonna put a little interruption right here. So, do you ever have something that happens in a dream and then it actually happens in real life? Like, you dream something and then it actually happens. Oh, this is kind of divine right now. I'm gonna leave this in, but this is like super divine. I did not expect to have something like this happen right now. What the heck? Oh man, this is super divine. But essentially what I'm saying is, if you have one window shut, another door will open, okay? And that's the truth. So if you get rejected or something like that, think about it as the big man upstairs is looking out for you. So I'm gonna leave it at that. As usual, have yourselves a damn good one. And I do not know what that divine experience was. Like, I've not had one of those in a while. Regardless, peace out. I need to edit this. So, like. Hey guys, what is up? And welcome to another story time. Now, in today's story time, we are going to be talking about something in particular. Now, I have waited for a while to make this story time because I wanted to make sure it was authentic and it was concise with what I'm trying to say. Meaning that it was very good in detail and that I did not skim over anything, essentially just run through everything. But my point is, this is going to be a very good story time, and from where I started with barely any information at the start of story times to now to where it's actually broken down into details, it's amazing. You know, from where we started, from talking about stuff that just didn't even matter, like the worst prom, the dress, just so much tomfoolery story times, or trivial story times rather, and just stuff that just didn't matter. Like, it was just so unimportant that there was no real moral other than learn from your mistakes. I think that was like the main one, but other than that, let's get into this story time. Now, this story time is gonna be in depth, so I hope this isn't too long of a video. I hope I can break it down into a short video, because I don't want it to be too long, because the trilogy is already going to be way too long. But anyways, this story time is going to be about my dad. Now, I have not talked about my dad once on my YouTube channel. Literally once. And for a good reason. So, from where I started with YouTube, I will get into that in another story time, if I can even get that far, because I don't know. This is just the beginning with everything and whatnot, which is great because the progress we've made on YouTube is amazing. And also, a little update before I get off the subject of YouTube, daily uploads will stop. They will eventually stop near the end of this year, so we're getting close to the end of the year, so there's going to be no more daily uploads, and it's going to be one video a week. That's barely anything. That's actually reasonable, so you guys can go back through and you can watch the older videos and whatnot. So, and even this video, I will be having that as its own separate video to when I'm finally done with daily uploads and whatnot. But enough with me talking about YouTube. Let's talk about dad, my dad, in the story time. So, my dad has not been there for me at all. Like, literally at all. There was this one time that we did go on a field trip together, you know, when I was really young, and he was very pessimistic, okay? Just to start off, he was very pessimistic and whatnot, and he left when he was like, well, not when he was, when I was 6, so, yeah, he left, and I would always visit him on the weekends, right, and whatnot, so I'd always visit him, and when I did visit him, barely even talked. Honestly, we literally barely even talked, and whatnot, and it's not because I was shy, it was just because, you know, I just didn't know what to say, and whatnot, and especially at the time, it was just not a good headspace that I was in. I was not in a good headspace for like 14 years. That's a lot, and it may sound like I'm lying or something, but it's just not. It's just really not. Like, the constant thoughts that would ponder my head at that time, it just sucked. I may look now as if I'm all cheerful and I'm all happy and I'm all this, but the truth is, from where I started, it just wasn't like that. And that's why I'm going to be getting into my dad's story and whatnot. And this comes with my depression. So I had very bad depression at this time and anxiety, and that didn't go away. I still have that. I really, well, depression has subsided, you know. I don't have suicidal thoughts anymore. I just genuinely don't, and if they do, they're so mediocre that it doesn't even matter, because the good outweighs the bad now, and I'm happy about that. But the point is, from where I was to where I am now, I am so grateful, and I learned so much in that time frame, especially from my mistakes and whatnot, as I mentioned in the other trivial story times. Though they may have been trivial, as I did say at the start, I did learn some great lessons from them and those experiences. And especially with the dress story time, I learned from that to wear good clothing. I don't know. I literally don't know. I DK, man. I really don't know. But anyways, so I got kind of deep into thought there with suicide and stuff and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. But it really did subside. It really did. And now I know that life's worth fighting for, and it always will be. And that's just the truth. But from to where that was to where I am now, I still have some scars from that, you know. Like, my dad did leave, and the thing is, I'm not just one of those people who's like, oh, my dad left, yada yada, and I'm just making up stuff and all of this. So I'm gonna be getting even more into detail about a lot of this. So when my dad left, we would visit him on the weekends, but even though we would visit him, he would barely even talk to us. Like, literally, me and my brothers and stuff. And I'm gonna keep their names silent for this because I don't want them in this, you know, I don't want to bring them into this and whatnot. But essentially, I have family members who are close to me, who are close to my father, so yeah, it's literally a long story, but I hope I can break it down into today's story time. And this is to make up for missing out so much with uploads, and I know I'm gonna be having to literally kind of spam upload, I'm sorry for that, but I'm not gonna be getting this behind again because this was just dumb when it comes down to it. But anyways, we would visit him at times on the weekends and whatnot, but we didn't really do much. We literally just sat around doing nothing. Like, if I'm just being straight up, that's literally what we did. And then there was this one time, I remember it vividly, I was going to go visit my dad for like a week alongside my brothers, of course. So I'm gonna leave out the alongside my brothers from now on, but that's just because I'm just gonna put like more emphasis on the story. Just that way I can build it up, and that way I'm not having this longer than it needs to be. So I just need to get that out of the way. Anyways, so there was this time I wanted to visit my dad really badly. Not only me, of course, But I wanted to visit my dad, right? And my mother packed for 2 weeks, and we only stayed for like 3 days, and that did suck. But you know, it's gonna get even more into detail to when I get into this, and this is gonna be disheartening at times, like a lot at times, to even say this, because man, this really took a lot to get over and whatnot, and this is like the main reason to why I had certain thoughts in my head. You know, like, I'm just gonna be real. Since I didn't have a father in my life, and I'm fortunate that I had someone to look up to, such as Desmond, and I also had my grandpa. But even though I had those people, it didn't stop the thoughts at all and the things that I did to myself. And I really wish that if I could go back and mend my mistakes, because there's just so much bad stuff in there. But even though that is the case, I'm not my mistakes, and my past now is burnt up, and it does not define me anymore. So I'm going to be getting into a lot more about the story. So I was talking about, we went there for 3 days, even though we packed for like 2 weeks. There's a lot of similar situations like that and whatnot, but I want to get into one situation in particular. So I wanted my dad to go to one of my basketball games, right? But my dad hates my mom so much, and I mean this, literally hates my mom so much, that he wouldn't go to one of my basketball games and just sit there. Like, literally all he had to do was just sit there and be there, yet he wouldn't do it. And this was back to when I played basketball and whatnot, and yeah, it just sucked. Like, I was just looking at the stands, I was hoping to see my dad when I was younger. I remember this vividly, and then only to see that he's not there. And it really just sucked and whatnot, and I was in pain. There's just a part of me that just broke. I'm like, why? Like, why did he not show up and whatnot? And so he didn't show up to my basketball games and whatnot, and it's just because he was so petty and whatnot. He literally hated my mom so much because of what she did, and I'm gonna get into detail on what she did real quick. So neither side is in the right here, okay? And especially my father's even worse into the spectrum to when it comes down to it, because of what he did. All right, so my dad hates my mom for cheating, right? And this was before I was even born. Realistically, whenever my mom cheated, he should have just left right there. Right? He has like every right to just leave right there, but he stayed. And yeah, he stayed and whatnot. And here's the problem, okay? He stayed in the relationship to when he knows he should have left. That's a red flag straight off the bat. The second red flag is he cheated as well. He cheated as well, and once he did cheat, he had a son with this other woman. So, yeah, I have another brother now because of that and whatnot. And the thing that hurts so much is that he literally left him and even dismissed him as a person. He literally treated him as if he wasn't even a human being, and that just hurt me so much. Like, if he doesn't care for somebody who is his own blood, who's literally a blood relative to him, and who he had as a son with another woman, and just completely dismisses him as a person as if that mistake never happened, it's really annoying. Like, it's really annoying and whatnot, and he's doesn't even want anything to do with it, even though he doesn't take accountability for what he did and whatnot. So my point is, he cheated, he was in the wrong, and he's even more in the wrong since he knew it was wrong and he didn't like that. And the thing is that I don't understand is he hates my mom so much for cheating, right? To when they didn't even have kids at this time, mind you, and whatnot. And then he goes around and cheats himself, so I'm confused. Like, he goes and cheats, and then he acts like he did nothing wrong. That's confusing. I don't know how to wrap my head around that, but yeah. Anyways, so before I get more into the story, this is gonna be a long story, and for a good reason, because this is just heartbreaking to tell. It literally hurts so much just even saying any of this when it comes down to it. But I want to be real with you guys because you guys are like family to me, okay? You guys who watch the videos on a daily are like family to me, and you're like close friends and close relatives, so you guys deserve to know the story, so that's why I'm saying it. Anyways, I don't understand to why he hates her even though he did the same mistake, right? He cheated as well, and that was the main mistake, you know, cheating. You should never cheat on your spouse at all, okay? There's a reason to why it says in the Bible, until death do its part, okay? I know I'm bringing up religion and whatnot right now, but it says in the Bible, until death do its part, okay? So if that doesn't say that the Heavenly Father who created everything loves love, right? And that's why he created it, you know? For like a man for a woman and a woman for a man, you know? If that doesn't show until death do its part, if that doesn't show until death do its part, you're crazy. That God doesn't love love. Anyways, I don't understand that. I never will, because I'm rational, you know. I don't see that kind of stuff like that. I'm just confused when it comes down to it and whatnot. But I'm gonna continue on with the story now. So my dad hates my mom for her mistake, even though he made the same mistake. It's really confusing. I don't understand it myself. I don't understand how somebody could be so blinded by their own hatred, you know? Like, if you really hate somebody, it can make you foolish. Like, and I'm not talking about the Naruto kind of foolish, like, be Hokage. No, I'm talking about a genuine foolish, like, Bible definition of foolish. I know I brought up the Bible again, but this is just a really good example. And whatnot. With foolish. And by the way, foolish just means malice or evil in the Bible. It doesn't mean prosperity or anything like that, or giving up or whatnot. It has nothing to do with that in the Bible. Anyways, I'm done talking about the Bible now. I feel like I've talked about it enough, but this was just a really good example about foolishness and whatnot. But I just heard that and I was just in awe. Like, this really just shows to how hatred can blind you from seeing any side. You know, if you hate somebody and you hold a grudge against them for something they did, it'll just blind you and it'll make you an unrational person, and you won't be able to see any side, and you'll be closed-minded. Not narrow-minded, but closed-minded. And this is really hard to talk about, but even though this is really hard to talk about, this is a life lesson that you can learn from, you know? The moral of this is going to be, if you hate somebody, just forgive them. Because even though if it hurts you sevenfold, right? The best revenge that you can do to them, and if you really want to get revenge on them, live your best life. Don't go around judging anybody to where you are or to where you're at because of any circumstance you're in. You need to take key, right? You need to take the key that you have, unlock the lock that you have in your soul, and you need to just go all out, okay? And I'm saying that don't judge anybody to where you're at. Don't judge this guy because he did this and he got that. and you think you need the same. No, you need to work hard for what you want to get in this life and anything you want. And if you do that, that is the best revenge. Literally, the best revenge is living well, okay? Taking care of yourself, loving yourself for who you are. And I'm not saying being self-righteous. That's a whole other thing. Being self-righteous is thinking you're better than others. That's really bad. And I mean like self-righteous as in you think you're better than others to the point to where you don't even have empathy. You don't care for them. You just see yourself above them. And it's okay in some ways, you know? And like always wanting to learn and be humbled and to be modest. But if you see it in the ways of evil and essentially you're just being selfish, then absolutely not, you know? Anyways, I went on a rant for a little bit there, but I'm going to continue with the story now. So I talked about my father and his mistake and whatnot, but even though that was his mistake and my mom made the mistake first, sure, I'm willing to say that because I can see both sides of the spectrum. That gives him no right to completely just do all of the things he did to me and my brothers, alright? So there was this time, right, back in 2018 to when I was going to see my father, and my grandma went to go and take us to the police station so we could go and see him, and we waited for about an hour and 30 minutes, roundabout, right? Maybe even 2 hours. Alright, we waited there for an hour 30 minutes to 2 hours, and when we waited, he never showed up. He never showed up. And this not only happened once, this happened multiple times. And after this, I was just sick of it. You know, I just didn't want to see him. I'm just like, if it was meant to happen, it was meant to happen. But if it's not, it's not. And I'm glad that it didn't, because he is so blinded by his own hatred that he can't see any side. He can't even see his own mistake that he did. He literally can't even see to what he did wrong, and he's not gonna be a man and take charge and be accountable for his mistakes. And that's what makes you a man or a woman, is being accountable for your mistakes, to where you go wrong, fixing to what you did wrong, and doing the right thing. Alright, so to what I said by that, and to what I would talk about like the police stuff, right? So to when we did wait, we waited for an hour, as I did say, and he just didn't show up. And again, this happened on numerous occasions, and I'm gonna say something, and I don't care if I sound rash, but if you have children, right, and here's another moral from the story, if you have children, you should always be there for them. I'm not like literally saying, oh, be there for them at every single second. No, I'm like, because, you know, they do have to grow, you know, you can't always be there for them, but you should be there for them when it counts, you know, like, if I saw my father at one of my games or something, I guarantee you, be a lot more of an overachiever than I am. But instead, as a kid, I was an underachiever, which really messed with me, and I had to learn everything on my own. I was so independent from such a young age, and that sucks. But it made me to who I am today, so I can't be that angry about it, or even angry at all, because it did end up working out in the end. My point is, you need to be there to when you can, because if you don't, you're just going to leave a world of pain. Like, so much pain you're gonna inflict on that other person just by not being there. And that's what happened to me. And I had so much stuff that I regret I did. If I had a father figure in my life, I could have prevented a lot of the mistakes I did. I guarantee you I could. I am really glad that I never got addicted to drugs or anything like that. That is literally a miracle. Or got really addicted to anything. Alright? I'm just happy that it all ended up working well. But the moral of the story is going to be, don't let anger and hatred blind you, because if you do, you're only going to be hurting yourself, and you're not going to be doing anything. And all you're going to be doing is inflicting pain on others, and more importantly on yourself, and you're not going to grow from it, and you're only going to keep shrinking. You're not going to get intelligent, you're not going to get wisdom and understanding by doing those things, by being so entitled and angry for something, even though you've made the same mistake yourself in your life. And yeah, I don't really have that much to say about that, but I will continue with this story. So I know it's been quite a bit of a story time and whatnot, like literally just for this one story time. And I'm gonna keep going, and there's gonna be a little time skip right now. So I went to go and call my dad. All right. So this was recently in 2021. I called. Well, my dad wanted to call me, so he kept calling to where the house phone was. Right. And I went to go dial him. I called him. I'm like, you know what? I want to talk to him. I want to speak my mind. And I called him. Right. I asked him, hey, what's up? And then he's like, who is this? Like, before I even said anything, before I even, you know, picked up the phone and really said anything, he's like, who is this? And I'm like, this is your son, Zane. And I was just like, why? Like, this has really just proven my point about, to what I said with anger and hatred, and how it can blind you, and it can just only belittle yourself, and it can only make you dumber, not wiser, and whatnot. So when he said that, I'm like, this is your son, Zane. And he's like, oh yeah, how are you doing, and whatnot. And he's like, just playing an act, you know. He's not being himself, he's just having another persona, and he's not being to who he really is, and whatnot. So I talked to him for a little bit, and he said to me something that just absolutely irritated me. Now, I don't remember exactly how the phone conversation went and whatnot, because this was like a few months ago, but he said to me, I've always been there for you. And to have somebody lie to you over the phone like that, and especially who's your father, and is supposed to be your parent or your guardian, hurts, you know, to just lie to you like that. And man, I had so much grief upon me when he said that. And I said to him, you have never been there for me to when I needed you. Like, he was never there. Like, man, that just really irritated me, because he was never there for me. He really wasn't. And the only times I ever saw him were like few, and he didn't talk to us at all. He didn't say anything. He would always be condescending and pessimistic. Man, it just hurts to have somebody lie to you like that. Like, straight up. And so when he said that, I'm like, I've had enough. And I said to him, you have never been there for me, and you will never have the right to be called my father or my dad. Because a dad's supposed to be there for their kids. A dad's supposed to be there for their sons and daughters. And a daddy's never supposed to leave their side. Sure, the dad will let them have wisdom and understanding on their own. You know, they're gonna have trials and tribulations on their own. I can understand that. But if I had so much wisdom from my father, which is just so basic, you know, there's so much stuff that my father didn't teach me. I'm actually even gonna get into this real quick. The first time I ever played basketball with my father was in the 8th grade. No lie. No lie. I still haven't even played baseball to this day with him. No other sport, just basketball. That was a one time, and that was like 5 minutes. And then we just left. That was literally it. I'm not even kidding. And not only that, too. When I told him about my dreams, all he did was belittle me for him. You know, he's like, do something else. Like, he was so rude to me about my dreams and to what I wanted to do in life. And I was just like, why? Is that really what a father's supposed to be doing? Especially to when the father barely even wants to see their kids at all. And keeps making lies and excuses. Like, there was this one excuse he used on my brother. He's like, I'm quarantined. I can't see my children. I'm quarantined. And I called him out for his BS over the phone on that, right? And he's like, how did you know that? It was so funny when he said that. And I'm like, what? Like, literally, what? Are you kidding me? Like, are you literally just gonna lie to one of your kids about that? And the thing is, too, he more than likely thought I didn't know that because I don't talk to my brothers. But I love to talk with my brothers. I really do. I love my brothers to death. I really do. And to just have him lie like that over and over again just really shows his character. And the point of this video is there's a lot of morals you can take from this, and you can even equip it to yourself and whatnot. But this is kind of my story. I said a bit about my story with everything, and I'm glad that I didn't let him define me, meaning him being my father. You know, I didn't let my father define who I am. I didn't let because if I let my father define who I am, I would have never have ran 30 miles. I would have never have started YouTube. And I know YouTube hasn't taken off. I know that. But I still love bringing videos to you all. And if you could, if you're new to the channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like. Because it means the world to me. And it lets me know that I'm not just speaking into an empty void. Alright. So if you could, please do that. And this story time was about being a father. Alright. And it's so strange that I know more about being a father than most adults do. Which is insane. It is literally insane. So if there's any morals that you're going to take from this, is that first of all, be a father. Be there for your kids. And cherish them. You know, truly cherish them. I'm not saying to be there absolutely every second, because they still need to grow by themselves, you know. They need to prosper by themselves. But they do need guidance, you know. If they make a mistake, if they do bad in school or something, correct them, you know. If they do bad in anything, correct them. Like, don't hinder them from their success. Help them. And that's all I'm really saying for being a father. You know, all it takes to be a father is to just be genuine and not to be acting like you're someone who you're not. Be straight up with yourself. Don't lie to your kids like my father lied to me. He's like, oh, I was a sport athlete. Like, yeah, Dad. I'll take your advice. Like, even I am not a sport athlete because I just personally don't care about that. I love running, but dude, absolutely not when it comes to certain things. Like, I just cannot. I don't know. It's just me, I guess. But anyways, this story time has been really long. Literally so long. But I did go into detail about everything, and I tried to be as concise as I could. And I tried to get all the details in and whatnot. And yeah. Just be a father. And don't hate somebody. That's a huge one right there. Don't hate somebody so much to where you can't see your own ignorance, you know, or even just hate anybody in general. Just forgive them for what they did. Even if it's so messed up, you have to forgive them. Because the more you just hate somebody, you're just going to be blinded like my father was, and you're not going to see your own stupidity, you know. And that's really it. As usual, have yourselves a damn good one, and I'll just leave it at that.